on my CNC case guard for the front countershaft sprocket. It's a lot nicer than the stock one. I took the, I don't even know if you can call it a DB killer, I guess it was. I took the DB killer out of the exhaust pipe, which was really hard to do.
Ride on, jewel, let your spirit be free, with the wind at your back and the whole world.
I told you I knew where I was.
Jewel, let your heart be your guide, in the depths of the thunder, it's your rant and your ride.
Right. So we're out here on a test ride with the new chain and sprockets. It does seem like it's a little bit quieter, but that's probably just because all the other stuff was worn out. I put on my CNC case guard for the front countershaft sprocket. It's a lot nicer than the stock one. For one, you don't have to replace the whole thing like KTM. If you wear that chain guide out for the countershaft sprocket, which I did, you have to buy another one. And you have to order it from KTM. So it's just better to buy an aftermarket aluminum one. And then it uses OEM chain guide, you know, for I think like the 690, stuff like that. So easier, works better, less maintenance. The other thing is I took off all my luggage racks. You know, I've got a top rack for a dry bag, and I've got some soft bags, small ones, for the side, which I used when I first got the bike. Those big bags, and packing those things full, you know, I probably only used 20% of those bags. I filled them up, but I only used about 20% of it. So tent, sleeping bag, mattress, and jet oil. And then coffee cup was actually in my top bag. And, you know, coffee and oatmeal. But all of that stuff can go in a dry bag on top or the small side bags. I mean, what I noticed by taking off those luggage racks and everything, the bike sits higher. You know, with the luggage racks and stuff on there, I was pretty close to flat footing both my feet. Now I'm on my tippy toes, so. You know, I took the, I don't even know if you can call it a DB killer, I guess it was. I took the DB killer out of the exhaust pipe, which was really hard to do. Had to get a hole saw, metal one, Milwaukee, and drill it out. And it took a long time. And like cruising, you can't even hear a difference. The bike real quiet. You know, the only time I can kind of hear a difference is on acceleration. So, like going down the highway sounds the same as it always did. And then you can hear maybe a 2 dB difference. You know, if I get on the throttle. You know, so the exhaust tip that came out of the slip-on back there was in reduced size, you know, and then it didn't have a baffle in it or anything. It had flutes cut in the side, and they were bent in. So the pipe was about that big around, and then it was fluted on each side, which even reduced it more. So I just wanted a little bit more throaty exhaust. I mean, probably what would make the biggest difference is if I took out the catalytic converter. So back to the luggage. You know, this bike handled the luggage just fine. I never adjusted preload or anything, so if I would have did that, you know, I'm sure it would have brought the height of the motorcycle in the back up, and then maybe it would have handled better in soft stuff. And you know, probably adjusted the front preload. I don't know. You know, I don't make a lot of changes to my suspension, but those two things could have probably changed it a lot. But you could feel it back there. You know, this bike handles amazing with luggage on it. 200 pounds of luggage. There's a bunch of horsies out there. Nice. You know, this bike handles luggage amazing. I mean, for the most part, you don't really notice it back there, but, you know, if you get into rough stuff on the trail, then you notice it. You know, you notice it from side to side that you got some weight back there, but, you know, I took all that stuff off because I probably only used about 20% of it, or 25% of it. Most of the time it's just sitting back there. And the other thing is, I mentioned already, I took the rear footbeds off. So now there's nothing back there to get caught on, which makes me feel better. It makes me feel better. And it's easy enough, you know, to put the racks back on. It's probably, you know, I'm kind of slow about putting stuff on, but, you know, it takes about an hour probably to put the racks back on if you want to load them up. But I don't really even notice, like I said, an exhaust note difference cruising down the highway. I only slightly notice a difference when you're accelerating, you know, from a stop or something. Then you can kind of hear it louder. It's only like 2 or 3 dB louder, which isn't much. I had a Duke 390 and they said, you know, to make the exhaust a little more throaty, you did the same thing to that as I did to this pipe. You drill out the center cone piece. And it did, you know, it made it a little bit more throaty. probably made a little bit more difference on the 390 than it did on this bike, but it's not doing much. I'd probably have to start with the DCAT and see if that makes a difference, and then if that doesn't change it much, probably just go to a different slip-on. You know, I want to say my second attempt at my Vegas trip was a success. You know, I got to Vegas, I stayed there a couple days with my daughter, and I came home. Didn't go the way I planned. You know, I wanted to ride at least 3/4 of the desert to Vegas. I knew I was going to ride home, and I thought maybe after Tonopah, maybe I would get back out in the desert. It's a good thing I didn't, because my chain and sprockets were used up, especially after battling the silt in Tonopah. Really stretched the heck out of that chain spinning my rear tire. So, you know, I think because it started raining outside of Hawthorne, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing any more dirt because the weather's bad. But it was a good thing, you know. It's kind of like, okay, God, yeah, I'm not getting out in the dirt. And it was a good thing I didn't, because you know, my stuff was worn out. I wore my stuff out. So, you know, the trip was a success, but really I wanted to ride from Tonopah, you know, to Beatty in the dirt. That would have been. See, I can hear an exhaust difference right there, but really that's about it. You can't hear any difference while you're going down the highway. It sounds the same. I'll probably get down to the end here and flip a U-beat, get back home. You know, I probably spent 20 minutes on this short video already, but back to what I was saying about my Vegas trip. I was in a different mood. You know, I lost 2 days to begin with in that week, which I wanted to visit some more places. Losing those 2 days put me on a schedule, because I had, you know, motel reserved, so I had to get there, you know, or lose your money. And so when it was slow going outside of Tonopah and Goldfield, you know, when the dirt turned to silt, I just decided to bail and get to Beatty, you know. So I got to Beatty about 45 minutes after my check-in time, which is okay, you know. And I got to enjoy my motel room more. Hot tub wasn't working. It was warmer than the swimming pool, but basically it was probably about 80-degree hot tub. But I ranted so bad about the desert being torn up out of Goldfield. I ranted for probably 15 minutes. I had to mute it. Maybe 10 minutes, I don't know. But I even got tired of my ranting. So my rant today is about my ranting. So I gotta call myself out on my own ranting. I was just kind of upset for losing days over the spike issues, and then losing dirt riding because of the desert being torn up. So, but anyway, we'll talk to you soon. That's I think about all I got to say at the moment. Might turn it back on there, but like I said, it's probably already a 20-minute video. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Or make comments, about some more interesting stuff than just my ranting. Alright, talk to you later.